When you look at that right now and you think about your first days in the UFC, how amazed are you of the evolution of how big the UFC became?
Well, you know, it's one of those things. I always thought it would get this big. I just didn't think it would get this big this fast. Like it blew up after we had the Ultimate Fighter and that reality show. We were able to get that launch on free TV, you know. So, you know, I always thought it'd get here, but it's the greatest sport in the world. I love the sport, and I'm not surprised, but I am surprised how fast it happened.
You were one of the first stars of the UFC. What was it like to fight in the UFC back in the day? Would people recognize you in the streets? How was it like?
Well, before Ultimate Fighter, I could walk in a room and go, okay, I could pick out that guy with the tap-out shirt, he knows me. That guy might know me, and that guy knows me. After I fought in the UFC, after the Ultimate Fighter came out, I was walking through a mall, and like an old couple walked by. Hey, great fight the other night. I'm like another group of people. Like, how do all these people know who I am? It just became, I couldn't tell you who I was. It's such a broad fan base at that point. It just got it went from like I said, being able to tell you exactly who I know who I am, and to just everybody coming up to me.
Of course, you were there also at the time where there was a lot of backlash against the UFC. Some states banned it. In France, you know, it was legalized 2 years ago. It was banned for 20 years.
Oh yeah.
What was it like at that time? Did you thought that it could become that global and that everybody would accept it, or did you think maybe we will always stay in that in between?
You know, in the beginning, I didn't know what was going to happen. I just thought it was better than getting a real job. I love what I did. I graduated from accounting. I had a lot of pressure from my family to go get a real job. So I had an accounting degree, but I stuck with it. I really loved doing it. I didn't want to do anything else. And man, it really, you know, the Fertittas came in and Dana came in, and they were able to, you know, they pump a lot of money, do a lot of improvement. We're able to get it legalized, and man, look where we're at now.
You had some of the most amazing fights in the history. You see the two. I cannot name all of them. There are so many. But how much a role did those big fights play in the development of the UFC?
Well, you know, I think they really helped at the time. It's right place, right time. You know, I had those big knockout fights right in the beginning when you're trying to get a new fan base. Even the end of the Ultimate Fighter, our first free live fight on TV, you got the Stephen Bonner Forrest Griffin fight, which was amazing. The back and forth, a war. You know, it was one of those, you know, gaudy war type fights. It was just back and forth, and great fight. So to have that for our first big fight, and then the next fight was me and Randy the next week. We had a pay-per-view, and I was able to pull out a knockout. It was I was considered underdog, so it came out. It was great.
Out of curiosity, but how was the economics of the UFC at the time? How much were you paid to fight?
I got paid pretty well by the end of my career. I mean, at the beginning of the career, when my first fight in the UFC was $1,000. I had a chance to get into a tournament. I was an alternate to a tournament. I got into the tournament. I had a chance to win 20 grand. My second fight, I mean, the first contract after that they offered me was 1-1, 1,000 and 1,000, 2-2, 3-3 for a 1-year deal. And Dana was actually my manager at the time. I said, hey, I can't send him sign a deal for $12,000 for a year. You can't do that. It's not going to happen. So we went and fought in a smaller show, and then came back and started fighting for the UFC again.
You've been retired for some time, but obviously I saw you walking the Saudi. Everybody wants to check you. Everybody wants to take pictures. Is it even bigger than when you were a fighter?
I don't know if it's bigger, but it's as big still. I still have. I mean, you know, I get a lot of people from, you know, a lot of guys that I'm like, wait, you're too young to know who I am. I was 12 years ago. And, you know, they're like, oh, you're my dad's favorite fighter. He talks about you all the time. It's like, go back and watch my stuff. So, I mean, it's been great ride. The fans have been great for me. I mean, they've been awesome.
What's your fondest memory of your career in the UFC?
You know, I don't know. I mean, if you had to put a gun to my head, I mean, it'd make me pick one. I mean, I'd probably pick the second Randy fight when I knocked him out to win the title for the first time after winning the TV show. It could have been the biggest pay-per-view they had yet. You know, I couldn't have been on a bigger high than that at that time.
Can you tell the French audience, which is pretty new to the UFC, how big were those fights around you? Because I was watching at that time and it was huge.
Oh, it was huge, man. I mean, we were walking out, you know, without, you know, the Mandalay. I don't know. The first one was at Mandalay Bay, or I don't know where it was. The place was packed. It was deafening walking out. The crowd was so loud. Our fans were so crazy. Walk out, I could barely hear myself think on the way to the ring. It was a big moment, and it was a big moment for me. You know, it was that big. You know, he'd been world champ at heavyweight, came down and was world champ now at light heavyweight. So,
is there a fight that you would have loved to have and that you didn't have?
Not during my time. I mean, I would a couple of fights I would like the Vanderlei Silva fight. I wish that happened when we were both champs. Like it should have, and it was a 5-round fight. You know, I think the next 2 rounds, we had 2 rounds left in us. It would have been it was a war for 3 rounds. I would like to have the second 2 to finish it off.
How would you say that the Chuck Liddell from that time and the stars from that time, the running creatures at that time, would do against actual current champions?
The current, I think we'd still do good. I mean, but all of us, the guys that were still in the sport and doing well, we evolved with the sport. And we kept getting better with the sport. We kept learning more and more. And like the reason I was able to fight as late as I did even and do well was because of how much of a student of the sport I was, and how I was able to, you know, when you're not as fast, you're not as, you know, well, I could outthink people more. So it just, you know, I think we all would have done well.
I told you, UFC is coming to France first time ever this year. They have been going twice to England this year, or the second time in July 2012. It's now global. They go everywhere in the world. It was less global at the time. It was mostly in the US.
Yeah.
Would you have loved to travel around the world to fight and to showcase your skill?
Oh yeah, I would have loved that. I mean, I fought in Brazil, I fought in Japan, I fought in Canada. But it would have been cool to fight in Europe. I went over there. I was supposed to fight once over there. I got hurt in training. It's the only fight I ever had to pull out of. So I pulled my hamstring. And but yeah, it would have been fun. It's great, but it's been great to be along the ride too. Like to see the difference between how it was before and how it is now. I pretty much go anywhere and people will know who I am.
How do you see the UFC and the MMA in, let's say, 20-25 years? Because it's already one of the biggest sports in the world. Can it become the one? Can it become maybe on par with soccer or anything globally?
You know, I think it'll keep getting bigger. It's going to keep it growing. I think as long as guys can keep getting better. I mean, these guys, you have to keep evolving in the sport. You got to keep adapting to what the new techniques, new stuff. There's so many ways to win and lose. It makes it so exciting for the fans. So I think it will keep getting bigger.
You may be one of the candidates. So who's the greatest of all time in the UFC right now?
Greatest of all time. That's always a tough one for me to say. I mean, Anderson Silva was one of my favorite guys to watch fight. I mean, he was a stud. When he was during his dominant time, no one could touch him. Matt Hughes was a beast. BJ Penn and his run, man, the stuff he could do. I mean, he fought up at 185, fought at 155. I mean, he could fight anyone. He was tough.
To finish, I have to ask you about our French fighter. The main event for Paris in September is still a gap for heavyweight. Fought against Francis in January. That was for the title. Do you know him? Do you follow him? What do you think of him?
He's tough, man. I thought he had a good shot of winning that fight. So, I mean, he's a tough guy, man. I like watching him fight. And I think he'll be back. He's got a shot at it.
That fight is against Tai Chibasa, the big guy from Australia. What do you say?
That's a tough one. That kid can fight, man. I love watching him. I love him too. I love watching him fight. I mean, stay away from those heavy hands.
And last question about Cyril. In French, his nickname is Bon Gamin, which means good kid. He's a very polite guy, never does anything controversial, just says all the good words at the right time. Do you think that you need to be more controversial, to have more on an edge to become a big superstar in the UFC?
I'm not going to agree with that. That's what they told Tito's camp, told UFC. hey, if he's your champ, if Chuck's your champ, you're gonna die because he's not loud enough, he's not controversial enough, if he's your champ, you guys are gonna die. And obviously that didn't work out so well for him. I made a pretty decent champ.
So for you don't need that?
I don't think you need to. As long as you fight, you go out there and fight the way you're supposed to fight. People respect that. Fans get behind you. They respect you. A guy that's that's respectful. Goes out there and just does his work and goes out and works.
What can you say? What can you say to fans that come to the UFC for the first time, that maybe are really new to the sport? What can you promise that the live UFC card can bring? Yeah, that's last.
Hey, live. You can't. The energy at live event is unmatched in the UFC. It's hard to put that on TV, but what you're going to see is a great style fighting. I mean, it takes a little bit of education for guys to understand the wrestling and some of the jiu-jitsu stuff, but these are exciting guys. A lot of these fighters, out there nowadays, they're really well-rounded, and so you don't get a lot of. You should have some exciting fights.